Welcome to the Department of Life Sciences podcast for Women at Imperial Week 2026. International Women's Day 2026 centres on the theme Give to Gain, the idea that progress happens when we intentionally give respect, voice, care, knowledge, opportunities, and resources to others. In a university community, that giving doesn't only apply in lecture theatres or laboratories. It happens in offices, technical spaces, meetings, emails, and everyday interactions that keep the system running. We're bringing together voices from across the Department of Life Sciences, from administration, technical teams, research, and teaching, to reflect on what giving has meant in their working lives and what we can all gain when equity and support are shared responsibilities.
In this episode, we are joined by Rebecca. Rebecca, could you tell us a little bit about your role at Imperial, a fun fact, or even a part of your role that you find most rewarding?
I work as the Undergraduate Admissions Administrator for the Department of Life Sciences, which is in the Faculty of Natural Sciences. And the courses that I look after are for the BSc and MSci courses in Biological Sciences, Biochemistry, and Biotechnology. And I also organise and look after our offer holder events, open days, and any ad hoc events. So I think the part of the role which I find the most rewarding and the most enjoyable is seeing students and applicants achieve a place on the programme that they've worked really hard for. It is super competitive, and I think that you kind of go on a journey with these applicants through the admission cycle and at each stage of the recruitment process. So them getting an offer, attending events, engaging and getting excited about starting university is the most rewarding part. And also, you never know what the future holds and what these students will kind of go on to achieve.
Great. And what motivated you to pursue a career as a admissions administrator?
So my kind of story is a little bit unconventional about kind of how I got into admissions. And it probably started when I was about 13. And my parents sent me to a summer arts school. And after a couple of days of attending the school, I recognized that I was kind of one of the oldest students that were there. So I started helping some of the younger students with their projects and supporting some of the teachers. And after a few days, the teacher kind of approached my parents when they came to pick me up and asked me if I could work for the summer school and asked if they could give me a job. My parents were quite shocked, but agreed. And I guess I didn't know back then, but that would kind of lead me on a path to kind of working in sort of various roles, whether that was kind of organizing training, working for a stage school, organizing media and production training, and eventually sort of switching over to further education and then finally on to HE. And I guess to wrap it all up, what motivates me is being part of a learning environment, and I really enjoy that. So that, kind of started way back when I was about 13.
So to develop on that a little bit more, when you hear the theme Give to Gain, which is the theme for International Women's Day in 2026, what does that mean to you?
So I think the theme Give to Gain in the context of kind of like my day-to-day work. And I think for me, it's pretty simple, actually. I think it's being a team player, it's being supportive, it's sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, and kind of creating opportunities for yourself and others. And I think that this is something that happens every day when you're kind of liaising with your kind of core team members, academics, students, applicants. You're investing your time, and I think that's what Give to Gain in a day-to-day experience in the context of work means to me.
Great. And it's really clear how you support others within your team, within applicants, within the administration system that you work in. And I just wondered, do you have a time when somebody has given you support that's made a real difference?
Yeah, so I probably can't say her name, but I will. And her name's Ernestina, and it's in a previous role when I worked for the BBC as a project assistant for their outreach department, and it was projects that kind of went beyond broadcasting. And at the time, my manager sort of really took me under her wing. She gave me quite a lot of support and encouragement and kind of gave me a lot of opportunities which I hadn't done before. So everything from organizing events, organizing training, finding speakers, designing flyers, traveling to different parts of the UK that I'd never been to before. And I guess what I've realized is that a lot of those skills and a lot of that encouragement in that role has had a huge influence on my career up to date. So yeah, she was somebody that definitely gave me a lot of support and encouragement.
Great. And in what ways do you try and give back to others?
So I think I always try to have a kind of, happy to help kind of attitude. So I think, I guess how I kind of give back is, I'm always willing to support others if they need help and if I've got capacity. I'm not really somebody that likes to see people kind of like struggle with their work. So I think if you can support people, even if it's just in an informal way, I think that is kind of how I would be able to kind of like support a colleague if they needed something, just ask or offer to help, basically. And I always say kind of like, if you've got a problem, share it, because you never know how many people might have had the same problem and could easily just say to you, oh, if you do something this way, or if you, try it this way, it could actually improve what you're doing and kind of lighten the load as well. So, yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about a job that you got when you were 13 years old and were recruited to do. And I wonder, thinking about a younger version of yourself, what kind of advice would you now give yourself?
The advice that I would give to kind of my past self is that you have no idea what the future holds, and you never know what opportunities are going to present themselves. And I think I would also say, try not to overthink everything and get overwhelmed, because I think there's a lot of pressure and there's this kind of like invisible timeline sometimes in life to kind of get things right. And I think actually, for me, sometimes you actually learn from getting things wrong. And I think that that's okay. So I think that would be the kind of advice is, try not to worry too much.
And understand that failure is a part of success.
I think I've definitely learned a lot from getting things wrong, and that's just how you improve.
And a more of a speculative question then, if the powers that be within the department or the faculty, Imperial, or even the wider higher education context are kind of listening to us chat today, is what's something that maybe you would change with respect to Give to Gain?
I'm going to be positive and say that, I do think the institution as a whole does do a lot, but I do think that it would be even greater to try and break down even more barriers if we can. Try and, again, I keep saying it, but try to share as much knowledge as possible. And that can take various forms. So that can be training, coaching, mentoring, providing support. And I think that is kind of the way to kind of help people improve and encourage people to kind of move forward if they've got that kind of support behind them. So yeah, if they were listening, I just think, yeah, we need to break down even more barriers, create more opportunities. And that's for, I would say people at all levels.
Okay, I think that's a really, really nice message to end on, is how can we break down the barriers to allow people to progress? And I'd just like to thank you, Rebecca, for being part of this podcast.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. And thanks for having me.